I am Dr. V. Balaji, HOD of Mechanical Department, Laila Institute of Technology, Chennai. Today we are presenting finite element analysis by Mr. P. Duraisamy, Assistant Professor, Tamil Nadu Government Training Center, GCT, Coimbatore. Mr. P. Duraisamy has 4 years industrial experience in Lucas TVS as a Senior Development Engineer in R&D section, and he has 3 years academic experience in Government College of Engineering. Now I hand over the session to Mr. P. Duraisamy. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir,
Thank you.
for a nice introduction. Shall we go for presentation, sir?
Sure, sir. We can start. We can continue.
My screen is visible?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Visible.
thank you. Good morning to everybody. Today is we are going to discuss about the finite element analysis. How this finite element is helpful to the engineering community, and at which place or at what kind of places you have to think about the finite element analysis. So in that way, just we have to cover this topic. So it is not a one-way communication. So I request all the participants to answer while asking the question. Or if you have any queries arises, just let me know. So okay. So what are the prerequisites for this finite element analysis? So engineering mechanics, the fundamental knowledge of engineering mechanics and the strength of materials and the design of machine elements are, we should have an advance before talking about the finite element analysis. Definitely, if you're able to solve some problems in finite element analysis, but if you want to any justification, definitely you have to go for basic mechanics and materials and machine elements concepts. So in what way these things are fulfill our FEA results interpretation? So not only these subjects, if people are very interested, I took only the center of material design oriented topics. That's why I have listed only 3 fundamental subjects. If anybody is interested in thermal management, or if interested in the vibrations, harmonics, and some other crash analysis, then you have to take those subjects which are very relevant to the your record analysis. So in our, just for my presentation, just I have took these 3 subjects. So from the engineering mechanics, we can able to understand how to resolve the forces. If the load is acting on the structure, how the forces are shared to the supports, how much force is sharing, and what are the types of loads, what are the types of supports. Everything we have some basic fundamental idea. So sometimes we are using the word point load, but in reality there is no such kind of point load, because if the load is acting at a particular point, it will penetrate. Definitely the point load is acting at some area. So that is the basic fundamental we are getting from the engineering mechanics. So different types of loads, different types of supports, those we are getting from the engineering mechanics. In strength of materials, we are calculating the stresses, deformations, and different types of stresses. Principal stress and hoop stress, shear stress, and other energy-based stresses. All the things are coming under the category, the subjects of strength of material. We are including the material property, are getting the stresses developed in the structure because of the external disturbance. In the design of machine elements, so in strength of material, we are just looking, we are solved some basic beam problems, not the complicated structures. While coming into the design of machine elements, this we are taking some standard machine elements like vice or nut and bolts, riveted joints, welded joints. Those are very essential elements of the mechanical engineering. So just we are taking those elements, and just we are applying some fundamental of mechanics and strength of materials. We are getting the stresses, and we are ensuring how much is factor of safety, and how much whether it is failing or it is qualifying for the some design requirements. So these things are very fundamental. We are just learning from these three subjects. Okay, I'm not taking all the problems which you studied in the earlier courses or maybe in the current courses. Just we can take only few things. Just I have shown in the overview. We can take some axial bar problems and beam problems and column problems. These are very fundamental. So axial bar is the word. It's if the force, how the force is acting, how it's behaving, and how axial bar and columns both will differ. These things are very fundamental in the civil engineers and mechanical engineers. But while coming into our field, how the axial bar problems into our mechanical, how we are incorporating these things to our field, and beam. So what is the basic difference between axial bar and beam? So we have to think all the basic and nuances. Then we have to appreciate it, how these things are differs. So based on that, we have to move forward to use the same concept, or we have to incorporate all the nuances into our finite element analysis. But how the finite element analysis and strength of materials or maybe the other concepts is differing? In what way is differing? So this basic idea we can get from one simple example. Don't look the problem as a mathematics. Just get the numbers. Just feel for it, what it means, what it implies. Just get the feel of it and just understand it and appreciate it. If your requirement is not met, then you have to choose the alternative way. What is the ways available to meet our requirement? In that way, you have to look the problem. Don't look into mathematical perspective. So axial bar. Just I am giving into three segments. I have split it into entire problem into three segments. One is the geometry. Geometry is an axial bar. So in real problems, you can take geometry. For example, if you are interested to solve the problems of automobile, bike, or bus, or car, if you're taking into the problem, you have to analyze the entire behavior of automobiles. You have to consider entire structure as a geometry. So geometry may be simple or complex. It's up to you. It depends upon the problem you are having in your hand. So materials. At what materials they are used to make the geometry? Either in buses, you can say how so many materials: steel, cast iron, plastic, and so. So we have to each different components made of different materials. So we have to incorporate all the things. So geometry is different. Material is we can make the material geometry with help of steel or cast iron or using the rubber or maybe plastics and so on. So exactly what material we are using, that is the another category, another important parameter. Third, what kind of load is acting? Whether it is axial load or it is a transverse load or some other dynamic loads. What kind of load is acting on structure? So these things are very essential in all kind of research problems or maybe your study in your courses as well. So you can take the problem, study the problem, and you have to split into these three categories. What kind of geometry you are talking about that? What kind of material used to make the geometry or made up of geometry? And what kind of load is acting on the structure? These three things are very essential. So next, so these are the parameters. These parameters are shown in the graphically in pictorial view. So in bottom, just shown 100 mm length. A is the one point, B is the another point. So left face center is considered as the A, right face center is considered as B. The distance between these 2 points is 100 mm. And the cross section is 10 by 10. Just I have shown the pictorial view of geometry. Then what is the made of material used is the steel. Its property is 210 gigapascal, Poisson ratio 0.3. The axial force is 210. So just the force is highlighted in the at the point B. The force is acting in the along the length direction, along the 100 mm direction. The force value is equal to 210 kilonewtons. So the force is acting at one point B. The point A is fixed. that is the case, we are going to calculate some parameters associated with the problem. So the end A, the surface which is pertaining to the face A is perfectly fixed. The surface which is most surface, the point B, at the point at which you are applying the load of 210 kilonewton, which is axial force. So because of the force, what we can expect out of this test, if you are doing a test, this kind of specimen, this kind of load, this kind of conditions, what we can expect? So we can say generically with the help of the center material, we can say we can calculate the stress. How much stress developed because of this much force? One thing. Second thing, we can calculate the elongation of the bar. If you are applying this so much force, how much the bar is elongating? Those two things we can calculate very easily from the strength of material. So that thing I did actually, just I will show that. So the same thing, the bar fixed at the left end, we are applying the force at the right end at the point B. Just assuming the point at B, we are not applying the force on the section, just applying the point. So for understanding, so we can call the stress. Stress is nothing but force by area. Fine. So force is 210 kilonewton by area 10 by 10 100 mm square, and stress is this much. Just took the number. Don't worry about the mathematical calculation behind that. Just get the number of it. And second thing is deformation or elongation. Both are, you can use it. So what is the deformation? The formula from strength of material, and just substitute all the parameters, and just you are getting 1 mm. Okay. Now I am very happy with this problem. Okay, I can able to calculate stress as well as deformation. So far it's fine. Now the 1 mm is elongation, right? So 1 mm elongation is happening at which place of this structure? Can you able to justify it? Students or participants, kindly unmute your mic. Just give your this knowledge, or just justify it. Whether the 1 mm deformation or elongation is happening at what location of the structure, the axial bar. Just to make it interactive, then only we can able to understand and appreciate it later on stage.
Sir, actually they can't unmute, sir. They're completely arrested. So you can talk with them at the end of the session only. Okay,
just so then every session I think it is a little bit technical. So I think if they understood in the stage by stage, that would be better instead of the last stage. Is it possible to interact?
Just wait a minute.
Just if you're following around the 20 slides, then they may miss some concepts or maybe the understanding.
No, we have to come out of the meeting for that.
Oh. Okay.
It's a general settings. It's already predefined, so we can't.
They can chat.
Yeah. They can put their questions in the chat box. You can. They can make the conversation in the chat box itself.
Okay. Just participants, faculties or students, kindly post your answer to this in chat box. The deformation 1 mm is exactly you can able to measure at which place of your structure. The 1 mm we are getting out of simple calculation. It's fine. Very happy with the result. But 1 mm is deformation or elongation is happening in the structure at exactly what location is happening. Whether end A or end B or end somewhere in between the point A and B. So end B. Okay, fine. So at okay, fine. Someone is saying at the center, and most of the answer is end A, end B. I think majority is end B. Okay, fine. So the 1 mm elongation is happening exactly at the point B. A is perfectly fixed, so we cannot move it. So fixed means you can say the deformation elongation is equal to 0 as per our conceptual. So end A is equal to 0, end B is equal to 1 mm. That's fine. So just we can represent in the another diagram. So just in 2D view, end A, end B, then the B is moving 1 mm. So B is moving from B to B dash. So we are getting, that is the delta is equal to 1 mm. That's fine. These results we are getting from strength of material, elementary strength of material concepts. Now, my requirement is, I would like to calculate the elongation at the midpoint of the structure, or it's somewhere else, not at B, not at A. Just my requirement is, I should have the result, or I should find out the value or the elongation at the midpoint of a structure, or at somewhere else, not at A, not at B. Then what I can do? Whether my strength of material will help to calculate the value. So actually, the strength of material, it is not easy to do that. There is no way to get it in the simple deformation delta formula. It will give the only the free end elongation. So in this situation, so I would like to calculate at the point C, which is 50 mm from the A. It means exactly at midpoint. So at this situation, the finite element analysis will help us to get the value, to get the elongation at the point C. So how we are going to get the value of the elongation at the point C? Then we will see what are the procedure you have to adopt to get it in the finite element analysis. So at this place, so the deformation or elongation at any point of structure, the strength of material will give the idea elongation is happening 1 mm at only at the point of B. That only we can be able to get from the strength of material. It won't give more than that. If you want that elongation of the structure at anywhere, at only that A and B, you can get from the finite element analysis. At this place, you have to think and talk about FEM, finite element analysis. It is purely strong mathematical behind that FEA. So we can believe and we can strongly believe the results. It has strong mathematics behind that. So my requirement is I should calculate the value, the elongation at the point C. So deformation at the point midpoint of the axial bar. So from this existing calculations, you can able to infer, not assumption, we can able to get the deformation or elongation happening only along the axis of the structure. We are ignoring the another two directions. So the length direction only we are calculating. So how much it's elongating in the only the length direction. We are ignoring the another two dimensions because the structure dimension is 100 mm by 10 mm by 10 mm. So 100 is huge value, 10 by 10 is a smaller value. So because of that elongation or whatever the response is happening in the 10 by 10 cross section, we are ignoring the study. So the condition, one more thing is the left end is fixed. We are saying that one end is perfectly fixed, then there is no movement. So the displacement is fixed at the fixed end. These are the two infer from the problem. So just we have to introduce the finite element analysis. How this will be helpful. So FEM is a numerical technique. It's a purely numerical technique. It will give the approximate solution to the problems. It will try to give the exact solutions, but it is a numerical technique. So we can, if you modify the problem, if you fine tuning the problem solving methodology, if you fine tuning the parameters which you're using, so then only we can able to move to the closer to the exact solution. So it won't give the exact solution at the beginning stage itself. That's why it's a numerical technique to the approximate solutions to the boundary value problems. So just there is the basic FEM. It's a numerical technique. It will give the approximate solution to the boundary value problems. It won't give the initial value or time dependent problems at this stage. So what are the steps you have to be incorporated to solve the problems. So these are the 9 points. I think I request participants to take a screenshot of it. Just you have to be go through that while moving one by one. Just you have to be get the idea of it. So the first 9 points. The first step is discretization of structure. You have to divide the structure into different subdomains. You have to divide the structure into subdomains. Then you have to select the point number 2. Step 2, you have to select appropriate polynomial equations to the divided or discretized subdomains. And we have to formulate the element stiffness matrix, and we have to assemble the stiffness matrix of all the elements, the formation of load matrix and total load matrix. Just read the lines, then you will discuss one by one in detail. So first thing is we have to discretize the structure. Just you are dividing the structure, the first point. So FEA, if you are using the theory concepts, or if you are familiar with theory, if you are using any analysis software, simulation software, so wherever you are going, just the fundamental, the first step is you have the geometry first, you have the material property second, you have the load third. So those 3 is fundamental to solve the problems before carry out these 9 steps. But if you have all this for geometry and the material property and load, then we have to divide the domains into subdomains. So in this problem, so just in 2D I have shown here. So we are for fundamental understanding of concepts in this class, just we are dividing the structure into 2 segments, because my point C is exactly at the middle of the 100 mm, exactly at the midpoint of 100. So we can divide the section into 2 halves. So portion 1 A to C, portion 2 is C to B. Just we are dividing structure into 2 domains, 2 subdomains. So the 100 mm length A to B, the domain is divided into 2 subdomains. Just if you add these 2, A to C, C to B, then you can get the original geometry, the original behavior of the structure. That is the ultimate idea. Just we have a geometry, we are dividing it, then we are applying some conditions, some mathematics on the each divided portions. Then we are finally we sum it up to get the entire effect of the whole effect of the original structure. That is the idea. The first step, we are dividing it, then we are applying some mathematics on the each individual portions or domains. Then we are adding together to get the whole effect of the loads and get the response of the whole thing. So just for this understanding, for the sake of understanding, I am dividing structure into 2. So now my point C is exactly at the C is shared by the left A to C and C to B, 2 portions. So hereafter, these 2 portions or subdomains is called as elements. Technically, the words we have to introduce the element. So the A to C is called as one element. C to B is called as element 2, another element. So we have 2 elements in this structure. So whenever you are talking about the finite element model, the finite element model should have the elements. If your model does not having any elements, it is not a finite element model. For example, you are making a CAD model, a solid geometry using ProE or using Unigraphics or using any CAD packages. That model has volume, that model has surface, that model has lines, that model has points. So it is a CAD model. CAD model should have only solid, surface, lines, and points. That is the CAD model characteristics or properties. If you have any CAD model, if you have any finite element model, it should have the elements. It is not. It does not have the solids. It does not have the surfaces. It does not have the lines and elements. Those are the points. FEM should has the elements. So now in the first, the middle picture, the 100 mm shown A to C, that is a solid model, CAD model. in technically in the software concern. The bottom one, the A to C, the red color two domains, it's a finite element model. So element 1 is A to C, element 2 is C to B, that is a finite element model. Then in finite element model, elements has nodes. The elements has nodes at each corner, each end. So how many, we have only 2 elements, there is no doubt about it, because we are dividing the segment into only 2 halves, so 2 elements. If you divide in the structure 100 mm into 5 segments, then we have 5 elements. That is the concept. So we are dividing the structure into different subdomains. You can divide the structure into even sizes or also uneven sizes also is possible. That's also good to have. So just we have 2 elements, A to C one element, C to B another element. Okay. Before that we have element 1 is A to C, element 2 is C to B. So just a minute. So element 1, it is called as E1. Okay, just I am just one slide is blank. Just I will explain something. So element 1 is shown as E1. The element 2 is E2. Just understand it. E1 and E2 is 2 elements. So it has nodes. It has some nodes. It has some nodes. Element 1 is also has some nodes. Nodes is nothing but the corner points of elements, or it's located at the each ends. So element 1 is also has nodes. Element 2 is also has nodes. So while dividing the structure, we are converting the CAD model into finite element model. The finite element model has elements and nodes. That is the next we have to keep in our memory. So how much nodes in this previous our example problem, we are dividing into 2 subdomains, so 2 elements. So 2 elements is one is E1 and E2. How many nodes at E1? How many nodes at E2? So in this situation, we have to discuss something is about the different types of problems, like a 1-dimensional problems, 2-dimensional problems, and 3-dimensional problems. We are having these 3 problems: 1-dimensional, 1D, and 2D, 3D. We can solve the problems 3D, 2D, or 1D as it is. But when we are going to 3D, when you are going to 2D, when you are going to 1D, so depends upon the dimensions of the problem. 3D problem, 2D, or 1-dimensional problem, the nodes will change. If you have 1-dimensional problem, the number of nodes may be less. If you have 2D problem, the number of nodes is more than that previous stage. If you have 3D problem, the number of nodes is still more. So when we are go with the 3D, when we are going with 2D, when we are going to 1D. For example, now in our problem, we are having 100 mm length. We are having 100 mm length, and we are having 10 mm cross section, 10 by 10 cross section. That is the dimension of our geometry. In this 3 dimensions, we are expecting the elongation is happening only in the direction of 100 mm. We are ignoring the 10 by 10. So the elongation is happening only one direction. So we are ignoring the another 2 dimensions. So we can go with the 1-dimensional problem instead of 3D. We are expecting, or our interest is only the elongation is how much is elongation due to the load in the only the 100 mm direction, not in the 10 by 10. We are not considering 10 by 10. We are ignoring it. So only 1 dimension, but we are not ignoring fully. We include these numbers into the mathematics, but we are not covering in the graphical representation. It's not shown in your eye view. It is considered in the behind the screen. It's as a number. It will come into the picture as a problem, but we are not modeling it to the 10 by 10 size. We are expecting only the elongation in the 100 mm. Our interest is this much. So only in this situation, we can ignore this. We can consider this area. We can give this number into the calculation, but we are taking only the length is our main parameter. There is a 1D. Assume if you have the problem of 100 mm length, maybe 100 mm width by 2 mm thickness. Assuming 2 mm thickness. Just this number is now 100 by 100 by 2. You have 100 mm length, 100 mm width, 2 mm thickness. In this situation, the thickness is very small. Compared this 100 by 100. So in this situation, we can ignore the 2 mm thickness because the thickness very less and the deformation or whatever the parameter responses is happening in the structure of 2 mm thickness along the 2 mm thickness direction is very less. So no need to spend much time to calibrate or to calculate the value in the 2 mm thickness side. So we can ignore the 2, then we can consider only the 100 by 100 size. It is, we can adopt the 2D analysis. If you have a structure of any automobile, bike or car, all dimensions are very important. We cannot ignore anything. Assuming this may be 100 by 100 by 100. So all the dimensions are equally important. There is no way to ignore it. So in this situation, we have to adopt the dimension as it is in the as a 3D cases. So the problem can be solved even though 100 mm by 10 mm, 10 mm is our case. For our example, we have to understand the FEA. So in this problem, 10 by 10 is comparatively insignificant to the 100 mm. That is the one thing. And also we are not concentrating to get the elongation in the 10 by 10 direction. We are only concentrating on the 100 mm direction. So we can only consider this dimension. That's why we can go with the 1D. If you're interested to solve the problem as it is, then you are like to have 100 by 10 by 10, then you can go with the 3D. That is also depends upon the user's experience and user's perspective, but the results won't change. If you are solving that 100 by 10 by 10, our case 100 by 10 by 10, as it is 3D, we can get the response in the all the dimensions and all the directions. If we ignoring the 10 by 10, we can get only one direction. That is sufficient to understand the subjects. So now my problem of a domain after discretization or after dividing the structure, I am convincing to move with problem in the 1D. Is anybody, any participants having any queries or any, if you need any doubts, if you have any doubts, just put in chat box, please. Thus you are dividing the structure, and after dividing the structure, just put in chat box. If everything is okay, put is okay. Or if you have any doubt, just type your doubt.
Sir, we can continue, sir. The participants will ask a question in the last 5 minutes, so it's not a problem. We can
go
fine.
Ahead. So we are just ourselves, we are convincing that. So we can move with the problem with 1D, because 3D we can appreciate it later. But why we are choosing the 1D is we know that elongation is happening only one direction. Another 2 dimensions is elongation is very small comparatively to the 100 mm direction. So this just because we are ignoring it, but we are considering that 10 by 10 dimension into the mathematical equation or mathematical expression. Okay, so 1D, 2D, 3D, the procedures is little differs. The elements, shape, size, characters, and associated some parameters also is differs in 1D, 2D, and 3D. Now we are adopting 1D to solve our problem. So what are the one-dimensional elements available to take care of this problem? So first case is we are having only 2 nodes at end. Second one is 3 nodes, one is mid and 2 at each end. That is second type of element. Third is we have 4 nodes at the both ends and 1 by 4, 1 by 3 and 2 by 3. And the last one, just leave that. Last one is beam. We are not solving the beam problem now. Just we are solving the problem of only axial bar. So first three elements are related to or pertaining to the 1D axial. The last 2D two-noded beam element is purely applicable to the beam problems. Now we can ignore that. So first one thing is a two-noded linear element. Second thing is a three-noded quadratic element. Four-noded cubic element. These three things are we can use it for our problem. Okay, what it means? Okay, just we have to understand what is the meaning of two-noded linear. What is the meaning of three-noded quadratic? What is the meaning of four-noded cubic? Okay, we have to get the feel of it. Just we are saying a word, we are representing in the simple line diagrams and the points and using U1, U2. What is exactly meaning of it? Okay, just we have to understand that. So to get it, just get the meaning of, just see the screen that these different types of elements are available to solve the one-dimensional axial bar. Okay. Okay. Before that, can you able to see this picture? In this picture, the Fisher rod is used to hold just catch the fish in the sea or in the reservoirs. So can you able to see the profile of the Fisher rod? Don't look the man and the fish. Just look the profile of Fisher rod. The profile of Fisher rod. It's can you represent the profile of it? Simple mathematical equation. What are the polynomial equation can be used to capture the exact profile of the fisherman rod? So in this we have to think that. For example, in this fisherman rod, so the profile is not linear. Still this we can say linear. Then we have curved profile. Then it's maybe partially linear. It's not fully linear. It is a fully curvature profile. How to consider this profile in the mathematical expression? That is the meaning of your previous slides. Okay, which element can be used to capture the exact profile of the behavior? This is a case. We can take the fisherman rod is used to catch the fish, but the behavior of the rod while taking that fish, this look like we have to capture into mathematical expression. How to capture it? We can have the flexibilities. We can divide into different subdomains. That is also possible. We can divide the structure also into subdomains. We have to divide the subdomains and we have to capture the exact profile. So in this case, for example, we can consider this is a linear, then curvature, and again linear, right? This is the thing we can able to divide into different segments. In the previous slide, you shown just you have seen that this is a 1 point, this is another point, this is a U1, this is a U2. That is the two-noded element. The second case is here one node, here one node, here one node. This is a U1, this is U2, this is E2, this is U3. This is the three-noded quadratic. So what is the meaning is, if you have only 2 points, the point 1 is here, the point 1 is here, can you able to construct the curved profile with the help of these 2 points? It is not possible. With the help of 2 points, only we can able to draw the straight line. Only able to draw the only straight line, not a curved profile. Just in this freehand, I cannot be able to draw exactly. Just it can be understand it with the help of 2 points. Only we can able to construct straight line. We cannot construct the curvature profile. If you have in between one more point, the point 1 is here, point 2 is here, point 3 is somewhere here. We can construct a straight line here to here and here to here, 2 straight lines, and also we can able to construct a small curved profile. Also can able to construct a very curved profile. If you have 3 points, with the help of only 2 points, we can able to draw only straight line. With the help of 3 points, we can able to segment the straight lines or some curved profiles. If you have 4 points, 1.1, 0.2, 0.3, and 0.4, there are 4 points. We can construct a smooth curve better than the previous case, better than the 3 node. you can able to consider very smooth curve. So depends upon your problem behavior, you have to select whether 2 node is enough, 3 node is enough, or 4 node is enough. Okay, so in this problem, here from the hand, this place to this place, I think better we can do construct only 2 points is enough to draw the structure. After this response, only 2 nodes is enough until this segment. And during this segment, 2 nodes is not enough. We have to go with at least 4 nodes because the profile is curvature profile. Then after this segment, it's purely not straight line, not fully curvature, and then go with maybe 3 nodes element. You can use 2 noded element or 3 noded element, say 4 noded element. Only single element with it has 2 nodes, 3 nodes, also 4 nodes. Which one is opt for us? We have to understand the behavior of the structure first, then we have to select the appropriate element type. So in this problem, okay, this is our problem, right? In this problem, the axial bar elongating only in axial direction. So we can draw a profile. For example, in draw this force versus deformation. If you apply the force, the deformation will increase like the straight line. The profile will be straight line till the elastic point, right? In the stress versus strain curve also, we have still elastic point straight line, and we have upper ends, then upper yield, lower yield, and then we have profile of ultimate and fracture. So till elastic or proportional limit, the behavior of the structure is still in elastic. Up to elastic, then the profile is straight line. So if you construct this segment, only 2 points is enough. If you go beyond this elastic limit, in this profile, 2 node is not enough. Or 2 node is enough. You have to divide the segment into number of small segments. For example, if you have one profile like this, so you can do one node 1 here, node 2 here, node 3 here. We can able to do that. Or we can do is one element. Just you can take this is a 1 element. Then you can divide the 2 element, then 3 elements and 4 elements. Like that, if you increase the element number, you can able to capture. One thing is you have to increase the element number, keep it node is small. Second thing is you can keep element number is low, increase the node. So 2 things are very important. We are solving all the problems within the elastic limit. So it depends upon the behavior of the problem. Okay, here only elongation happening only in x direction. Then it's also linear. So we can choose this element is appropriate for this case. If you are identifying your problem is not in this 2D element is not sufficient, then you can go with this one. Depends upon your problem behavior. For understanding at this stage, better this 2-noded linear element. What is the meaning of linear is with the 2 nodes we can able to draw only a line. That's a linear element. With the help of 3 points, we can able to draw some non-linear lines. It's a quadratic line. With the help of 3 points, we can able to draw a cubic line. Some mathematics behind this. This is a word. We have some mathematical expressions in the next slide. So we have only linear model, only 2 nodes. It has only number of nodes is 2. A0 plus A1x is a mathematics to represent the line. So just y is equal to mx plus c. Y equal to this is a constant plus m into x. This y is equal to mx plus c. This is straight line. So it belongs to the 2-noded element. It belongs to 2-noded element. So if you have a quadratic, the node is 3 nodes. It's a quadratic. We have 4 nodes. It's a cubic. This is the diagram representation. This is the mathematical expression to replicate the same. So this is the problem that we taken to understand what kind of elements is appropriate to capture the behavior of your structure. So before solving the problem, you should have something in your mind. What kind of responses you will expect? So based on that only, we can able to decide in the starting stage. So element 1 to 2. That's the meaning is 1 to 2. What it means here is just a minute. I'll start the screen once again. Just a minute.
It's visible, sir.
Visible? It's,
Visible,
I think
visible.
it's loading in my system. That's why it's
It's visible.
it will take just a few minutes.
Yes, sir. Okay, okay.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So
Yes, sir.
just in the we are dividing into just two domains. Just remember this. So A to C is element 1. So A is replaced by number 1. C is number by number using number 2. Then B is replaced by number 3. So 1 is A, 2 is C. Just numbering from the left end. So A is 1, C is 2, then B is 3. That's the number I used for the calculation. So element 1 is 1 to 2. So element 2 is 2 to 3. So we have two elements. We have to formulate some stiffness matrix, what it means. So before that, just get some idea. One more thing, just I like to convey that. Okay, so everybody knows the spring, how the spring behaving, and what is the equation to capture the spring behavior. So the thing is, the force equal to K into X. So force, we are applying the load. K is the stiffness parameter of the spring. X is equal to displacement because of the load. If you are not applying the load, the displacement is equal to 0. That is the fundamental equation of spring. So we are incorporating this equation is the equilibrium equation in finite element methods. How we can incorporate? What way we can incorporate? There's so many questions will arise while directly introducing the spring equation into the FEA. How it happens? Simple. Just I will show this justification purpose. This can be adapted for the all the cases. For example, in this starting third slide of my presentation, I shown that the delta elongation or deformation is equal to the force into length divided by area into Young's modulus. This only I shown. Elementary fundamental equation. Just rearrange this equation. Force into stiffness in one side. For example, delta keep it in one side into area into Young's modulus equal to F into L, the another side. So just bring this into this side. Delta into A is equal to F into L. Just bring the delta into in right side now. Okay, so A E equal to F by delta L. Just bring this L outside. Sorry, in left side. Just AE by L. Okay, just AE L. Just bring L in this side. Delta in the right side. So F by delta is equal to AE by L. Simply force by deflection is equal to stiffness K. Simply you can say the force by deflection equal to K. So just we can equate these two with a spring, and we can equate this one and this one also we can say equal to, all are equal. So we can say AE by L is equal to F by delta is equal to K. So meaning of stiffness is equal to force by delta equal to AE by L. A is equal to cross sectional area of your geometry, Young's modulus of the material, then length of your element. Just rearrange this equation, take only this portion. So F is equal to K into delta. So this is similar to the our spring equation. It's not a spring, it's not only applicable to spring, you can use it anywhere. So force is equal to stiffness into deflection or elongation. Here X is a symbol used, here delta is used. That's all. You can use in our calculation, U is to represent the displacement. The meaning is remain same, only the letter is changing, symbol is changing. So the force, one thing, second is stiffness is another thing, third parameter is deflection or elongation. So we have to get this value of delta by having this F and K in our hand. If you have F and K, it's a superb and nice to, very easy to get the delta. Okay, so we have to first formulate F, load, formulate stiffness. These two things, if you have in your hand, can get the delta very easily. Okay, so first you have to formulate K, then formulate the delta, then substitute in this equation, then we'll get the delta. How this equation look like? All are very well-known equation. You know already mathematics well. So A into X equal to B. That is the format the equation is framed. X is equal to, finally can get A inverse into B. If you multiply A inverse into B, you will get the X is unknown. That is the way we will proceed. That is the fundamental thing and very easy. Everybody can able to understand and appreciate the procedure. So now F is equal to K into delta. That is the fundamental and equilibrium equation of FEA. So F is our load, K is our stiffness, delta is our unknown. So if you have K and F in our hand, delta we can get from this single equation. We have three parameters, one equation. So one parameter we can get out of it if you have two in your hand. That's the logic behind the equation. So from this, we should have the K in our hand, F in our hand. Just we have to formulate K and F. So K is stiffness matrix. That's why the third is parameter is stiffness matrix. This is what I shown in my step itself. 3 is formulation of elemental stiffness matrix. Why the stiffness is introduced to that? I gave the simple explanation why the K is coming into the picture. So the K is EA by L1, 1 minus 1 minus 1, 1. Okay, this is the stiffness equation. How it came? Okay, so there is a mathematics behind this stiffness matrix. It will take some separate discussion to come into this derivation. Just remember this. For this case, this is the stiffness equation, stiffness matrix. So with this memory, we can move forward to solve the problem. And if time permits, then we will discuss how the K is how the K is arrived with this expression to this case. That will be discussed. We will discuss if the time permits. So first, just get the idea in later stage. But just remember this case: A is equal to stiffness matrix. 1 represents the element 1. EA by L1 into 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. This is the stiffness matrix. How EA by L1 is came? That is can be simply justified by the this place itself. just see here, the K is equal to F by delta is equal to K, F by delta is equal to EA by L. So K is also is equal to EA by L with matrix. That is the parameters is came there. EA by L we can understand from here itself, but how the matrix came is that is a separate mathematical derivation is behind that. So just EA by L is came from this one, but matrix we have to be take a separate discussion to get it. So EA by L, L is represents the length of element. For element 1, L1 is used. L1 is the element of one length. E is represents the Young's modulus of your material. A is the cross section of your element. 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. Why? We have only two nodes. Node 1 here, node 2 here. So that's why this is 2 by 2 matrix. That is the another justification. If you have 3 elements, the 3 nodes, it will be 3 by 3 matrix. So that's it. The separate derivation you have to take care of that. So 1 and 2, 2 by 2 matrix. Then what is the one represents this 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. This 1 belongs to node 1 or node 2. This minus 1 belongs to node 1 and node 2. Whether it is shareable, that will get idea. So this first one is belongs to node number 1. The second one is the node number 2. Similarly, in vertical, the first one is node number 1, the node number 2. So this is node 1, this is node 1, this node 1 1, it belongs to node 1 1. This is shareable, node 2 and node 1. This is shareable. This is 1 and 2 shareable. This is 2 and 2. Just number, just we will see further. Just we will enhance it later. So for element 2, similarly, K2 is equal to EA by L2, 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. Minus 1 1. So here 2 and 3. So just 2 and 2 is the first node, 3 is the second node, 2 and 3 is horizontally, vertically, you can put it as in the order of element numbering configuration. Just here numbered as 2 is the leftmost, 3 is the rightmost. So 2 is the first come first, 3 is comes next, and 2 and 3 in the vertical position as well. Okay, these are the elemental stiffness matrix. We have two elements, element 1, element 2. That's the stiffness matrix corresponding to the element 1 and element 2. Now we have to add it. We have to element connectivity. How to element connect? We have element 1 is node 1 and 2. Then 2 and 3 will come here. The element 2. This is the element 2. It has node number 2 and node number 3. We have to add these 2's. 1 and 2 will not join. 2 will join because 2 is here and also is here. The 2 will join. So we have to connect these 2. That is the total stiffness matrix. These are the things are elemental stiffness matrix. If you have 10 elements, you have to formulate the corresponding stiffness matrix, and then you have to add it. Okay, so K1, K2. Just I took only matrix 1 minus 1 minus 1 1 of elemental 1. Then 1 minus 1 minus 1 1 of elemental 2. How we will connect? The second and only we have connectivity. So just element 1 K matrix, then element 2 connect K matrix, and we have to add. So here this is the one position, first position, the second node position. This is the 1, this is the 2. So this is the 2 2. Similarly here, this is a 2 3, here 2, here 3. This is 2 and 2. So this 2 and 2, this 2 and 2 will add in the diagonally. So 1 minus 1 minus 1 2 minus 1 minus 1 1. The remaining places is 0. So that matrix becomes 1 minus 1 0 minus 1 2 minus 1 0 minus 1 1. It will becomes. It is the stiffness of total. We have only two elements to get it exactly replicate the original structure. If we divide the number of elements is 3 or 4, we should have the 3 matrix. Then you have to be added in this way. It's not adding, just connecting this all the elements. So just K is equal to total EA by L1. Okay, EA by L1, EA by L2. Both are Young's modulus same, area is same, L1 and L2 is same. So we can replace L1 and L2 by simply L1. That's why L1 is used. L1 is nothing but 50 mm, length, total length by 2. Then F is equal to K into U. So F is equal to K into U. K only so far we have. U is unknown. F is equal to force matrix. So what are the forces acting on the element? That is very simple. Element loading matrix. We have element 1. Element 1. What are the forces acting in element 1? NDA is fixed. Then midpoint is also there is no force. So this is the in element 1. This is the node number 1. This is the node number 2. There is no forces acting on the node 1 and node 2. Node 1 is fixed. Node 2 is midpoint. There is no load. So 0, 0. Then node 2. Sorry, elemental 2. Elemental 2, node 2 midpoint. There is no force. Then the force is acting at the right end. For example, in this case, node 1, node 2, node 3. Node 1, node 2, node 3. This is elemental 1, element 3. Sorry, element 2. Elemental 1, there is no force. So 0, 0. Elemental 2, there is we have a force acting at this point. At 3, we have force. So 210 kilonewton. Just we are assembling it. 1, 2, and 3. See, as per the 1, 2, and 3. So this 2, 0, this 2, 0 will join combined with the value of 0. This force matrix. So then overall equation will substitute it. F is the force, K is we have already, U is the nothing but elongation. So previously they used symbol delta, now using U. U1 is deflection or the elongation at 1 and 2 and 3 respective nodes. So just we are arranged. All the parameters are calculated. That the equations are just substituted in the global equilibrium equation. Just we are dividing into elements. We are applying the stiffness and load to each element. Then we are connecting as per the our nodal order, and just we are substituting the global equilibrium equation. Then we have to calculate U1 and U2, U3 from this equation. Then we know well known that the U1 is 0. We already know the fixed end does not move. So it means that U1 is equal to 0. So we have to apply this here. So U1 is equal to 0 because the 210 is applying at the right end at the point B equal to 2. So left hand is fixed. So it means that we have to strike out first row and first column of matrix. So first row, because the U1 is 0, so because we have to strike out first row and first column. Then remaining you have to take that. So 0, 210 into 10 power 3 EA by L1, 2 minus 1 minus 1 1, and sorry, this is U2. That's a mistake. This is U2. This is U3. U2 and U3. Because U1 is equal to 0. Thus we are eliminating. Thus we are applying. We are imposing that. We are striking out first node, the first row and first column. How to get U2 and E3? A simple calculator, you can solve it and you can get out of it. So just U2 and U3. U2 and U3 is nothing but in this our axial bar. Is our axial bar. The midpoint is U2. This point is U3. So the right end is moving to still 1 mm. This what we get from center of material, but my midpoint is moving 0.5 mm. So with help of the find element method, I can able to get out of it. The stresses also can be calculated, strains also can be calculated. All the parameters can be get out of it with help of U1 and U3. U1, U2, and U3. U1 is equal to 0 for this problem because the left end is perfectly fixed. Okay, so this is the way we have to be follow to solve any kind of problems. Just I will show one more thing. The same problem is we are dividing into 4 elements. Okay, just we are dividing into 4 elements. So total 100 mm length is divided into 25 mm, 25 mm, 25 mm. So just the structure we are dividing into 4 segments: elemental 1, element 2, element 3, element 4. 4 elements, and we are assuming we are having 5 nodes. What I am saying is this is only one node at here, another node at here. Only 2 noded linear element. I am not choosing the quadratic. 2 node linear element. I am not choosing quadratic or maybe the cubic. Just same thing, but I just increase the number of elements to get we can able to get. For example, this is U1, U2. You can able to calculate. This is 25 mm far from the fixed end. and U3 is, we already know 0.5 mm is moving. It is 50 mm far from the fixed end. And third, you can calculate U4. U4, this is 75 mm from the fixed end. Then you can get the U5. This thing, just initially we have to decide how many points or what are the places you are interested to calculate the responses. Just divide it. The corresponding stiffness matrix K remains same. EA by L1 1 minus 1 minus 1 1, and K1 for L1 is element 1, L2 element 2, L3 element 3, L4 element 4. So 4 elements, 4 stiffness matrix. Just you have to arrange it. Earlier you seen only 2. It may be simple to see it, but if you have 4 elements, how to join it? For example, in this case, we have, this is a node 1, this is node 2. This is node 1, node 2 for element 1. Element 2, this is node 2, this is node 3. This is node 2 and node 3. So this 2 and 2, this 2 and 2 will join diagonally. And here 3 by 3 is another thing. Here 3 by 3 is another thing. Sorry, this thing will join diagonally. So we have to assemble that. So the stiffness matrix content is remain same. EA by L1 we can take it generally because all the element has equal length. It's not unequal. If it's unequal, you have to consider it specially. But all the things remain same. Just I'm showing only matrix. So this is the element 1 matrix. This is the elemental 1 matrix. So node 1, node 2. This is node 1, node 2. So this parameter will join with the element 2. So the element 2 will come. So this one, then this one, red and green will join. It will become 2. So this is for elemental 2. Element 3 will come diagonally. So this red and blue will join. 1 plus 1, 2. The elemental 4. Then the pink and blue will join. So we have 4 elements. The connectivity is node 2 is a, just I will show this. Node 2 is the connecting for element 1 and 2. Node 3 is connecting element 2 and 3. This node 4 is connecting 3 and 4. So that's why just we are placing in the diagonally. Then rest of elements are 0. So just one thing we can able to understand. Here we have only one element. First element 1. We have 2 nodes. So the K matrix size is 2 by 2. That is K1 is size is 2 by 2 because it has only 2 nodes. The total assembly has how many nodes? Just imagine, just count it. We have 5 nodes. So elemental 1, it has 2 nodes. So it is size is 2 by 2. So the total structure, it has 5 nodes. So the total total matrix size should be 5 by 5. Should not be more than that. The total elemental size is 5 by 5. In this previous case also, just you can able to just apply that. In this case also, we have only 2 elements but 3 nodes. 2 elements, 3 nodes. So total matrix size, the final matrix size is 3 by 3 because the node 1 here, node 2 here, node 3. The total structure has 3 nodes. So we have 3 by 3 matrix. So here we are in our this case we have 5 nodes. So our final matrix size should be 5 by 5. You have to ensure that. If you increase the numbers, then size of the matrix will increase. So just after assembly, just feel that this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just I will show this 5 by 5 matrix. The rest of things are 0. EA by L1 will come in this place. Just I shown only matrix alone. The 5 by 5 matrix. We have 4 elements, 5 nodes. So matrix size depends on the nodes. So stiffness matrix. Then force vector. Force is we have 5 nodes. Node 1, node 2, node 3, node 4, node 5. We are applying the force only at the node 5. So only we are having the force value remaining is 0. Then unknowns U1, U2, U3, U4, U5, different 5 nodes, 5 unknowns. So far, this we are using U1 is equal to 0. That is our fixed end. U1 is equal to 0. You have to apply, just you have to assemble it, apply it, then solve it. So just assembled here in the overall global equation. Then we are striking out, because u1 is equal to 0, we are striking out first one, first column. The remaining parameters you can take into our calculation, that could be u2, u3, and u4 and u5. So how to get this u2, u3, u4, u5? Is it possible to get from calculator? It's no. Our calculator can able to do only 3 by 3 matrix. It cannot go more than that. So in this situation, if your matrix this size is more than 3 by 3, 2 by 2 you can solve very easily. So if your matrix sizes goes more than 3 by 3, you have to go some solvers called as MATLAB or Scilab. It will powerful tool to take care of this mathematics. So in that place, we can say this AXB is a simple mathematical concept or a system of linear equations. You can use this concept, you can get the unknown of U2. X is nothing but I'm saying that U. So you can say U2, U3, U4, U5, you can get out of it. How to get it? Just I will show a simple demo on that. Just to bear for a few minutes. I will show Scilab, my Scilab screen. Okay, this is my Scilab. Actually, it's a MATLAB and Scilab is both are same, but it's a open source software. You can use yourself and you can explore it. So this is the GUI. Just I will clear this screen. So okay, we have the can you able to see this? Can you able to see this matrix?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So okay, can anyone note it down and can you tell me that while solving? Just anyone can note it down? Is it possible? Just to solve that. Just I will show you in 2 minutes. Just you have to note it this number. Just note it down. This number. This portion. This non-striking out portion. Just note it down. Anyone doing, sir?
Sir, we can go ahead with the presentation. Last 5 minutes, you can have a discussion with the participants.
Sir, it's actually just I will show how to get this U2, U3, U4, U5 from the software.
Okay.
So I have to incorporate these values into software.
Okay, sir.
So if anybody, maybe host or any faculty or any one person, just note it down.
So where is the numbers? We can note it down.
This equation, sir, the matrix, just I'm striking out first row and first column. So the remaining numbers, just you have to for 2, -1, 0, 0, -1, 2, -1, 0, 0, -1, 2, -1, 0, 0, -1, and 1. This 4 by 4 matrix. Just note it down. You have to use it. This
actually,
software.
the slide which you have shared, we couldn't find anything.
It's not. You can't able to see anything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes, just. Now.
Yeah. Now we can.
Just note it down, the 2, -1, 0, 0, -1, 2, -1, 0.
So we are noted, sir.
Okay, sir. Just a minute. Okay, so just Scilab, it can be used to any mathematics. If you are all numerical calculation, you can able to do it here. Then just you can solve this matrix. Ax plus Ax is going to be in that format. So first you have to enter the matrix of A and B. Then you can get X is equal to inverse of A into B. That is the manner. So A equal to, you have to enter the first matrix. So 2 minus 1, right, sir?
Yes, sir. -1.
2 minus 1,
0,
0, 0. That's a 4. Only we have, initially it's 5 by 5 matrix. We have striked out 1 row, 1 column. So it becomes 4 by 4 matrix, only 4 row, 4 column. The first row 2 minus 1, 0, 0. We have to put the semicolon to separate the rows. Okay, the second row begins with, sir, minus
-1, 2, -1, 0.
0. It's the second row. Just a semicolon, it will says the software to put in the rows, separate rows. So 0. Next row, sir.
0, -1, 2, 1. -1.
2 minus
0, 0, -1, 2, -1.
Okay, that's fine. This is the third row. The fourth row, I think is 0,
0, 0, -1,
minus 1, 1. This is the fourth row. So just put in enter, just it will shown in the matrix format. Just you can ensure that whether all the parameters are properly incorporated or not. Just I think so, all the parameters are properly captured because the 2, 2, 2 is diagonal, above and below usually in minus signs. So that is the A matrix. B is nothing but the load matrix. It's a column matrix. So column matrix, first column is is 0, second is also 0, third is also 0, fourth is 210 into triple zeros. It's a column matrix. A and B, two matrix A and B, and we left EA by L. EA by L. So E is Young's modulus is 210 into 3, 10 power 3 megapascal. A equal to 100. L is equal to 25 mm because we are having 4 elements, each element 25 mm. Okay, so we know EA by L, we have to get the value of it. So assuming this may be some small number B, small b is equal to E into A divided by L. Just get the value of it. It's a 84, 8,40,000, 840 into 10 power 3. That is the value of that constant EA by L. This number you have to be include in the post matrix. So in B matrix, capital B matrix, in capital B matrix, just last number divided by this 840 into 3 triple zeros. Just because that is the one format. Just we have to bring the constant and divide into the another matrix. Now unknown U is equal to inverse of A inverse into B matrix. Just multiply that, you will get inverse of zero, zero, zero. So just ensure this whether the A is correct, sir. -2, B is 0, 0, 0, 210 kilonewton, triple zeros. The B is correct. You have to divide this by 210 by 840 triple zeros, and the B is the inverse of A into B. It should come. This value is, I think we missed something. I think so. Exactly. Is just a minute. 210 triple zero 210 triple zero divided by 840 triple zero. The value is 0.25. So (0.25). U is equal to inverse of A sorry. Sorry, sir. Just a minute, sir. Just A is the matrix, and B is just after dividing we get A is matrix, B is 0, 0, 0. The 21 kilonewton divided by EA by L. Just after getting this 0.25, this value is getting. Then you have to use this U is equal to inverse A into B. Just multiply this, you will get 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, 1. So 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, 1 is, this is U2, U3, U4 and U5. So this is the value. You can solve any matrix with any size. You can simply solve this. Just enter the matrix of A and B properly. You have to enter it, and you have to just use the simple equation. U is equal to inverse is used by this the program is INV, inverse of A into B. Multiply it, you will get the value of this displacements, or you can say elongations. So that's my PPT. Just after just eliminating it, just substituting and dividing it, you will get this U2 is 0.5, 0.75, 0.25, 0.5, 0.73 and 1 mm. So just you have a structure. You have a structure of node 1 and node 2, node 3, node 4 and node 5. So we already know node 5 will move 5 mm from center of material, and previous calculation we came to know U3 will move, midpoint will move 0.5 mm. That's also ensured here. Midpoint is 0.5 mm, end is also 1 mm. So center of material is concept is ensured. We can believe that. Initially we took 2 elements, in that also midpoint we get 0.5 mm. So that's also captured while solving the 4 elements, and another 2 nodes that midpoint of this 2 and midpoint of this 2 also, it's 0.25 and 0.75 mm. So the FEM is a method you can solve any kind of engineering problems, thermal, structural, vibration and crash, and all the problems with appropriate unknowns. The procedure is, we have a CAD model, divide the CAD model into element, and element has nodes. Then you have to write the stiffness matrix, then assemble the stiffness matrix as per the element connectivity, substitute in the overall global equation, and eliminate or strike out the known parameters and get the unknown parameters, and use any MATLAB or Scilab or like a mathematical coding to do that. And you can solve the unknown parameters, displacements, and thermal problems, temperatures, and in the vibration problems also displacements. With this, we can get the another strains, stresses, and other parameters we can able to get from the displacements. So finite element analysis definitely will helpful, and along with the numerical approach, it's an approximate approach. It is not exactly close to the actual value. It will close to the 95% to the exact solution. It has some, for example, why it is approximation. For example, we have a curved geometry. Sometimes we cannot able to capture exactly curvature. We can go with like a straight line. We can eliminate this portion. We cannot able to include this effect on the real problem, because sometimes we are ignoring, or we cannot able to capture it. So in those situations, it's not exactly capturing the originality. So there is some approximations will come to the pictures. So it's a 95%. It's very closer to the substandard problems. And if you have some other real-time problems, depends upon the problems and severity, then as per the user's experience, we can decide whether what kind of level we have to set for your problems. So different applications you can use it for structural. Actually the concept begins from the structural engineers, civil engineers, and now is taken care by all the is used by all the engineering communities. Thermals, fluid flow problems, and metal forming and medical applications, all the places they are using. It has strong mathematics behind that. That's all, sir.
Okay, sir. Session is very good. Mr. Jnanaraj, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. I'll do.
If you have, this is a very fundamental thing.
So good afternoon, all.
Yeah.
So now I'll give. Let me go, sir.
Sir, I could not able to hear your voice.
So, can you get it now, sir?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So good afternoon, all. Myself, J. Jnanaraj, Assistant Professor, Mechanical Engineering Department, Laila Institute of Technology. So I would like to thank our management, administrator, principal for organizing this wonderful webinar about our finite element analysis. Also, I would like to thank today's speaker, Mr. B. Thuraisamy, Assistant Professor, Tamil Nadu Government Training Center, GCT Coimbatore, for accepting our invitation and sharing his valuable knowledge and thoughts. Sir, I am very sure that it would be very useful and informative session to all of us. My sincere My sincere thanks to our HOD, Dr. B. Balaji, for his effort for arranging this webinar. Thank you, sir. So I would like to thank all the participants from various colleges and faculty members and students. Once again, thank you all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. The session is very useful. We will share your mail ID as well as your phone numbers to the participants if they are asking any queries. So it will be useful for the participants.
We can take care. Is it possible? Maybe from student side?
Right now, no, but we will share your mail ID so that it will be very useful for the participants as well as particularly for the students. Thank you,
thank
sir.
you. No problem.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So feedback.
Sir, feedback already posted in chat box, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Participants, kindly fill the feedback form. Sir, coercion, sir.
Yeah, ma'am.
Nearly 60 participants are left. They are filled
Yeah.
feedback form, I think.
Yeah, only 30 are there.
30. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.